Hello, you all, and welcome to this new edition of Lectio Musica, the place for great lyrics, great music, and great meaning. My name is Guylain Prince. I'm a Franciscan friar from Canada, and I love rock music forever, especially hard rock, metal, and prog. And once a week, you stop by here to listen to one new song, most of the time for me, maybe not for you, and to witness my reaction to that song. We listen after, we listen closely, we look at the lyrics and try to understand the musical construction of the song. The reaction videos are in French and the analysis videos are in English. This is the analysis video of the song of the band, super band from Canada, Rush. Now, let's remind you that it is a 10 songs survey. The songs have been chosen by you, the fans, and it is the second song. So the first one was 2112, an epic song of 20 minutes. Earlier this week, I reacted to this week's song, which is Closer to the Heart. One of the shortest songs I've heard from Rush, and for a long time, a little bit less than 3 minutes. So the analysis is this video, and don't forget you can subscribe to the channel, and if you want to be notified as soon as a new video comes out, just push the little bell beside the subscribe button. Now, Closer to the Heart is a third song from the album A Farewell to Kings that was published in 1977. It's the fifth album already of Rush. It contains other fans' favorite, Xanadu and Cygnus X1, which were contenders for this survey because they had a lot of votes as well. The composers, the three of them are still credited, but we know for a fact that most of the lyrics are written by Neil Peart, and the composers are mostly Geddy Lee and Lifeson. So sometimes the equilibrium is a little bit, it changes a little bit more words here. There's one song, there was a ballad on the last album that was written by Geddy Lee, in terms of lyrics, and we could see that it was quite a different style than Neil. Neil has a beautiful, we say in French, une très belle plume. He has a beautiful, we say maybe feather or pen, but it means by that we mean that the person writes very, very well. Neil Peart writes beautifully. It's a beloved song of the fans. I didn't remember that song when you chose it, so I didn't know. I thought I heard it, but after seeing the show, the live version of the song, I remember that very well, and I remember that the crowd was singing along with Rush. All along this song, the people, they knew the words of Closer to the Heart, and they were singing with the band. Today, no doubt, the band would stop playing to listen to the crowd singing their own song, and that's wonderful. Now, one of the shortest songs of Nightwish, there is an extension version of the song with an added instrumental piece where they enjoy themselves on the progressions of chord progressions, we say also, of 5 minutes something in Birmingham in 1988. So if you want to see Rush a little bit later, maybe 10 years after the original recording, look for that video, and I see them so much enjoying playing that song. The link will be in the description box down here of this video. Now let's begin right away with the song itself. The introduction is made out of, on the studio version, it's a 12 strings guitar. In the live, you remember, it's a 6-string acoustic guitar on a stand. So he plays and he remove his hand and he can play his electric guitar right away. So very acoustic, and you have percussions played by Neil. Somebody told me it was tubular bells, yeah, vertical bells. They played with the armor. There were little bells as well, and it was very beautiful. It's nice. I don't know for you, but it's nice to hear real instruments. We don't hear that very often. We will see in other videos that the drums and drum sets, all the percussions surrounds Neil Peart in his show. In fact, in the 1998 version of that song, you will see the circular drum of Neil Peart. So the stage turns around when he changes his set of drums, and at one point he will have a big gong, and you don't see that many big drum set today. Because he played as well percussions, xylophone and other kinds of percussions. He was able to play that. After that, he replaced all of this with a pad, with sound that were generated by the pad. Like I said, melodic percussion, and something I didn't notice at all at first was a synth bass, because we forget that Geddy Lee was a bassman, but he stayed a bassman, of course, still today, but he plays keyboard very, very well. I've seen him playing very good keyboard, and then he plays what we call a bass pedal. So there, and in this case, with a very acoustic guitar, you have a very I would say artificial sounding bass, something he didn't play in the live versions. Let's dig into the words now. The first verse. And the man who hold high places must be the one who start to mold a new reality closer to the heart, closer to the heart. It begins with, I would say, a general principle. Those in high places, those who hold high places. What are these high places? I suggest to you politicians, big businesses probably, those who have high position must be the one who start to mold a new reality. So the first one, according to this song, the first one to be closer to their heart should be those in high position, and must be, there's a strong wish here. They should be the one to. And never forget, 1977, the 70s, you had many things happening at the time. You hope for great leaders. You hope for people in responsibility to have a certain mindset. Never forget the human factor. I would say pretty much that's what is implied here. The second one. The blacksmith and the artist reflected in their art. They forged their reality, their creativity, closer to the heart, closer to the heart. Now, we are not in a wishing mode. We simply recognize something. The blacksmith and the artist reflect it in their art. So here, the blacksmith and the artist, they do what the leaders should do. And what is it that they do? They forge their creativity. They forge, and you can see something very interesting. Sometimes creativity is associated with flowers, blue color, pink, and here it's a very strong words, forging something with fire to work it so that it really the reality, the iron or the steel is really turned into something by the creativity. So there is both the recognition of inspiration, artistic inspiration, or the idea, the plan, and the idea that you have to work hard to modify according to your inspiration, your idea of what you want to do. It can ask a lot of work, and I think it's a very interesting comparison with a blacksmith. Is a profession that we don't see anymore. Why is it called? It's because it illustrates so perfectly the craft of an artist. Of course, an artist does not give big hits with a hammer on a piece of steel. We all know that. But to Rush, it is the best illustration of how it is difficult to go from inspiration to realization. It needs a lot of work and energy, and I think Rush illustrates that very well. So now the artist and blacksmith are not presented as people who should do that. They are presented as models of what I would say everybody should do. Okay? And here, closer to the heart, means creativity, artistic creativity, to be open to what is happening in their heart. And these things happening in their hearts, they are imprinted in reality through the form of art they chose. Beautiful and unexpected verse. To be frank, how many rock songs have, unless it's an epic song about medieval fights, you won't hear anything about the blacksmith. Here you have it. Third verse. Philosopher and plowman, each must know his part to sow a new mentality closer to the heart, closer to the heart. What is a plowman in a modern song? And to me, to open the land so that you can sow. So the philosopher as an opener, not of the land, but of the, maybe of the minds. But it's a beautiful image. Each of them must. Oh, we come back into the strong wish. They should know must know their part. Maybe they don't know it, but they should know their part. It's to sow a new mentality. I'm not sure the plowman, I don't know how to pronounce this exactly, but plowman, I'm not sure he thinks of himself as a sower of a new mentality. But I think the philosopher should get from the plowman this idea that opening the soil, opening the ground, and sowing, like the plowman sow the grains, sow the seeds. There, the philosopher will put in society, in the minds, new seeds, and this new mentality will be closer to the heart. What an unexpected turn of event, I would say here, or image. A philosopher bringing people closer to their heart. As you know, probably the philosopher are often considered to be very high intellectual, maybe the first image that comes to our mind is not that they will bring us closer to the heart. If you ask me, a psychologist could be someone, a spiritual person, could bring you naturally closer to your heart. But here a philosopher brings you, it's not all philosophies that will bring you closer to your heart, I think. And so maybe the strong wish here would be, let's all work together so that we come closer to our hearts. I love the beautiful contrasts we have in this song. I find it very inspiring, and it triggers a lot of reflection. You will see, to me anyways. After you have the inter, sometimes will be called the bridge, going from one section of the song to another one, and we will see what will be the difference between the two. It's a very nice guitar solo. We can hear a very beautiful bass line by Geddy Lee. I'm amazed always because it's quite a simple song in a way. And it turns out to be, there are some intricacies in the song that other musicians could not be able to do. I was talking to Graham, hello Graham, one of the faithful of this channel. He's a bassman, and he told me that this is the part when we heard the instrumentals. He said this is the part I begin to have cramps. I tried to play Rush music, and I ended up with cramps in my left hand, and he told me it was the same. So even if I could play a lot of things and he could play a lot of things, at one point playing Rush is very demanding. And he in a very funny way, during the premiere last Wednesday, he said, "Oh, this is the time I begin to have cramps." I found that hilarious. Anyway, we go to the fourth verse here. We can be the captain, and I will draw the chart, sailing into destiny, closer to the heart, closer to the... Now, who is the you here? Is it a person in his personal life? You are the captain, but I'll draw the chart. Or is he talking to all of us listening to the song? And I think it could make sense if it was a personal, but since the beginning of the song is a call, a very large call, I would tend to think that you are the you here. You can be the captain of your life, yeah, you can be the captain, but I will draw the chart, meaning that you will have a map of where probably I think you should go, of course. But here he says in the third line that it is sailing into destiny. So he wants to give you a chart, sending you where you are called to be. That would be the meaning here of destiny from me. And not the destiny in old Greek tragedy, the thing that you cannot avoid whatever you can think or do. Here for me, the captain would tune down the idea that destiny here is more in the... it is more in the with the meaning of what you are meant to be. Into the soul. And this destiny is closer to the heart, within yourself. We will see how I make sense of that. And I think that your discussion, your questions down here in the comments, don't forget that I always consider my videos as a starting point to begin to discuss about these wonderful songs. I hope you will write down your opinions on different parts of the song, because I love it. You know that unless the comment section is flooded. It happens sometimes with comments. I always read every single one, and I will always add 1 or 2 words. So you are pretty sure, 98% sure, that I will read what you wrote, and I will dialogue with you from the song always to understand it better. Now we are going towards the finale, closer to the heart. I said closer to the heart. This is not new, but suddenly there's a change. Well, closer to the heart, yeah, closer to your heart. So just look at that. Before you can be the captain, and the end is closer to your heart. I think the song is talking to you. Talking to you. Now let's make a small analysis of the song. It's certainly one of the simplest songs of Rush. You won't find anything simpler than that, I think. After the intro, you have a very simple AABA structure with a finale, which means that basically you have 4 identical verses that are written down here as A. There's a B section that I call, that would be the bridge, and a finale. And that's it. There's no complication at all. But something that we find sometimes in songs, the last 2 lines, closer to the heart, closer. This section works in that song as it has a chorus quality to it. We even after the verse, we know this melody first time we hear it, and by the end of the song, this melody is printed in our mind, and the words as well. So it is a beautiful melody. It's repeated. It's simply as a finale repeated. What we call in a fade out, the sound going lower, 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 to finally going to silence. The inter, which is an instrumental section, is between what I would call the general principles of the song and the section in you and I. So we are leaving the general to go to the particular of me, the singer, singing to you, the listener. That would be my first understanding of the last part of the song. Now, in terms of lyrics, it's simple, direct, to the point. Each profession listed here, or field of human activity, the leader, the philosopher, the artist, the manual professions, each of them is invited to be closer to the heart. It's the combination of profession here that is fascinating. First, you have a collective called those in high places. They are invited to mold reality closer to the heart. The blacksmiths and artists, what a beautiful combination. They already forge reality, forge their creativity. So they are presented as an example. So you have a strong wish first, and the third verse will be a very strong wish, as if he was asking to those in high places and to those that are philosophers to work very hard to mold reality, to transform mentality. That's interesting, isn't it? And in between the two, you have an example of that, the blacksmith and the artist. In a way, the song is calling everybody to be closer to the blacksmith or the artist, and to be effective in transforming their reality according to, I would say, the left side of the brain, intuition and creativity. I find it well crafted, well written. I think it's a song that is well written, simple, but well written. So we talked about the blacksmith and the artists and the philosophers and the plowman. They will sow. And in the last verse, the one in you and I, you have you are the captain, and you sail. You sail. That's the verb for the captain. But me, I draw. I draw the line. I make the chart so that you know where you're going. What is your destination? So the song moves from general principle to a personal appropriation of the song, to a very personal call in you and I listening. And when you sing it, you become the singer, you become the I, and you talk to the other one saying, you can be the captain, but I will be the one who will draw the chart. Isn't that interesting? The communication of the idea of spreading this mentality, but this ability to transform reality closer to the heart. Now, let's think about the title now. Closer to the heart. In general, I have written down 4 different interpretations that I see in that. Maybe you see others. Don't forget to write them down here. The first one, close to the emotional part of our life, to recognize and accept our inner reality. You know that emotions are not something we choose to have. We simply react by our education, because of our past experience. We react in a certain way. We do not choose that. We are scared of something, and maybe there are no objective reason to be scared, but because it reminds us something else or another situation, I will be scared. 2, closer to your heart would be to recognize and accept this life inside of you, this emotional part of your life, to listen to it, to be attentive to what's happening inside you. That would be the first reading of Closer to the Heart. The second one, to let our feelings, love, empathy, to play an important role in our understanding and discernment of reality. Yeah, sometimes we have intuitions. Sometimes we have feelings towards a person or a group of person. We feel empathy for somebody in a bad situation. Let these feelings is something we participate. We choose to love someone. We participate. It's not only something that just happen in our life. There's our decisions are part of feelings we have, and this part of us to play an important role in understanding reality. When I see news on television about people living very, very hard, in a very, very hard situation, to let that empathy guide my understanding, my reading of the situation, and to guide also my discernment, my decision-making process, so that I let in my discernment, in my judgment, a human factor. That would be one understanding of Closer to the Heart. The third one is to be close to the needs of our hearts. We all lived a very, for those of you who love metal, in symphonic metal this week, we had a bad news. A bassist and singer that we love, he's called Marco, from the band Nightwish, left, at least temporarily, the band Nightwish. We love this musician, we love the man, but he said, I have to take care of myself. To me, I think that many musicians, they do not listen carefully to their own needs, the needs of their heart, And I wish so much to Marco to take care of himself. And by taking care of himself, to let the others take care, the loved one to take care of him as well. And to be able to whatever has to happen in his heart. But I think that closer to the heart can mean to be close, to be attentive, to be listening to the needs of your heart, And I think it's a very interesting idea. The fourth understanding I had of this expression would be to give space to the intuitive, creative part of yourself. To let this sometimes we tend to either forget and not listen to it. I said the left part of the brain, which would be the heart, the emotion, So give close to the heart would be then to give space to the creative, imaginative self. If I had to guess from the context of the song, not the general context, the context of the song, I would say that it's the first one, to be close to the emotional part of our life, to recognize and accept that inner self, in this inner reality, not have only our eyes turned towards the outside, but also towards the inside. And I would bet on the fourth one, because the song is really giving us one model, the blacksmith and the artist, transforming reality according to their creativity. So personally, I would tend to think it's the first and the fourth, but I want to read you about this one. That would be my interpretation of the song, generally speaking. So what the song means. I would like to say a few words here. I told you I would prepare a little something because I had immediately the song triggered something in myself. It was revealed to me by a very wise person that I had in my life at one point, a lady. And she told me that, do you know the difference between an intellectual and an intelligent person? And at first I was not able to say anything. He said, the intellect is the ability in a human being, an ability to know things, the knowledge. So it describes generally a person capable of thinking in terms of reason, logic, concepts, general knowledge. This is an intellectual. But this is not necessarily the meaning of intelligent. The intelligence is the ability to understand. It's not to know, it's to understand. You know the nuance here? Do you see the nuance here? A person can be very intelligent without being intellectual. And a person can know things, but not being able to understand and to have good discernment. My grandfather used to say that as well. Oh, he said, that's an intellectual, but he's not very intelligent. Or he would say also, oh, that's an intellectual. He has a lot of knowledge, but it's not a well-educated person. The person doesn't have, he meant that, he doesn't have good judgment, doesn't have discernment. And I found from my grandfather, he has only a grade 3 elementary school. He was a farmer and a janitor. But I loved him for that. When he said that, I found that extraordinary. Oh, he's an intellectual, but not very intelligent. I found that not very intelligent, not very wise, especially, not very wise. So the song, to me, how I would understand it is, make your intelligence descend in your heart and to go towards your heart, to go closer and closer to your heart. By that, you get a better knowledge of what's happening inside of you, to understand what's happening inside of you, not only outside, by observation, by discernment, taking into account what comes out of the heart. Understand yourself. And this, to me, first would be the first meaning of the song, to understand yourself. Secondly, to mold reality according to the best of you inside of you, to transform it so that you do not stay inside of you. You really go into the world with we say sometimes, and I love these expressions, emotive intelligence, bodily intelligence. There are different kinds, not just rationality. Intelligence is not just rationality. Intelligence is not just being able to work with concepts. No, an intelligent person, I met very intelligent person with barely elementary school, but in the way they manage their businesses, or the way they manage their profession, is very intelligent. Something that we can find, by the way, in board games. I've seen people supposedly not being very intelligent in board games. They reveal themselves to be brilliant. So it means that your knowledge, your observation, your discernment takes into account what comes from the heart. Closer to the heart, not just close to the heart. Closer, it means that there's an invitation to go closer and closer, to be more and more close to your heart. You'll never be too close to your heart, would say the song in a way. And the song says that this is our destiny. This is our destination. To be fully human is going in that direction. I love it. To give more and more space to your inner life, to yourself, to the other. Even I could say, somebody could say, it talks about also spiritual life. To have a rich spiritual life is to be well informed of what is happening inside of you, to inhabit your own heart, your inner self, to be more and more comfortable with what's happening in your heart, and being able to transform the world accordingly. That would be my guess. That would be my understanding of the song. And in fact, in studying the words, I got much more appreciative of the song. You know that the song surprised me as being very short. When, of what I can remember of Rush, it's always songs of 6, 7, 8 minutes most of the time, and if not 15, 20 minutes also. But I was pleased to see that it was well written, it's well crafted. I love it. I love the song. Now, we will continue next week with the third song called The Trees. The reaction, as usual, will be in French on Wednesday at 7:30 in Europe, 1:30 in North America, eastern part of the continent. On Friday or Saturday, I will publish the analysis of the same song. And sometimes I can be there, but most of the time I am not. But sometimes people got the surprise to see me there and chatting with you. I love it. And don't forget, you can subscribe to the channel and to push the little red bell so that you can be notified as soon as a new song, a new video comes out. That's it, folks. I hope you liked this beautiful, simple, to-the-point song. And next week we're going into a song called The Trees. I am certain, absolutely certain, this one, I don't know it. So it will be a completely new reaction, both to the lyrics video and to a live video. It will be the third on 10 songs in the repertoire of Nightwish. Thank you for being there. I want to see you back next week. Bye bye.